Hello and welcome to HD Community Meeting. Today is July 25th, and we have one topic on our agenda, but please, I see a lot of people, so please feel free to add more topics on anything you would want to discuss. That said, let's start from Hakuna, or how, I assume it's maybe not or Hakuna, do you want to open with your topic? I see he's here, but I don't think he unmuted. I know. In the meantime, are there any other topics? People came in just to listen in, or have any questions? Anything we should discuss? No. Oh, he asked for 2 minutes because he has some technical problems. So, okay, we have 2 minutes to talk. Anyone wants to talk about something? Anything interesting or any stories about etcd or any stories?
So if no one else wants to comment, I don't have an issue yet for this because this was a follow-up from when Govul decided to create when they decided to create a vulnerability for our etcd project. So the issue is that we didn't catch our CI pipelines didn't catch the issue, even though we run Govul. And the problem is because we have rewrites in our Go modules. So the suggestion by the Golang team is to use a Go workspace. And it's been kind of a rabbit hole for me because I don't have experience with the Go workspaces and with multi-module projects. So I've been trying to enable it, but I'm facing a lot of issues. It's not very straightforward. So I think I need to open an issue and maybe to track it there, but I wanted to see if maybe someone else also has some experience with Go workspaces, because it hasn't been very straightforward. And yes, as I mentioned, the solution by the Go team is basically we shouldn't be using replaces in our Go models, but we should be using a workspace and referencing our internal models in there. So I checked the Kubernetes source code to see how they're using the workspaces, but I think it falls under the same issue that there's replaces, and then the Govul check, it's not gonna check the replaces in the Go models.
Yeah, workspace is similar to maybe like a monorepo kind of a structure, or is this completely different in terms of concept? I'm just kind of wondering. I have no idea about Go workspaces.
So yeah, I think the idea is that it's kind of monorepo because in etcd we have different submodules, and we have a top model that it's basically referencing all of the different submodels that we have in the project.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome topic, Ivan. I can say that the moment I saw the Go workspaces, I tried to use it also on etcd project because it's for me it was very frustrating that we have very, very complicated bash scripting just to go around the problem of Golang not supporting module repositories, and I've been looking into that and also having problems because originally the Go modules I don't think were implemented in a way that makes sense for mono repos, but the idea was there. And I decided to wait, and I think there's a really good example that we could look into that and talk to people that did this. Is the Kubernetes project? They have the same issue. They have bigger repository, more complicated pipelines, and finally they managed to migrate it. I even know the person who migrated it. I mean, I think most people heard about him, but I think I talked with Tim Hawking, who was first to migrate Kubernetes or push to migrate Kubernetes to Go workspaces, because it's horrible experience if like developing in Kubernetes, if you try to use IDE of something smarter like the text editor, it's it's horrible, like really horrible. And Go, because you need Kubernetes had developed really horrible hacks to work with multi. So I hope that we could ask them and reach out for their experience and their suggestion. I can
So I was checking the Kubernetes repository, but in the end, what I saw is that in the Go models they also have the replaces, and that's basically what the Go team said, that govl check is not gonna follow. So if you have a replace so the problem is that if you have a replace with your current source codes inside that repository, so there's no way they will know that there's a vulnerability, because so they don't check your local source code. So the issue is that I think, so yeah, maybe it will be a good starting point, but maybe even like Kubernetes is not properly using it as the Go team suggested. But yes, it's so my main issue is that it's in so many places that it requires changes, and what I find it like the most worrisome is that the release script also needed some updates, and I think that's where it starts to be scary, like changing the release script. But yeah, I just wanted to know if someone has experience, and so yeah, maybe it will be great to reach out to Tim Hawkins. I don't know if he's gonna reply to me.
If you open an issue, I can bring him in.
Okay. Cool. So I'll open an issue because I've been informally working on it, but it's been like 2 weeks and seems like a rabbit hole with no light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Hakuna has already solved his issues.
Yeah. Let's just finish. So yeah, as James suggests from the main on the chat that we should. You can raise the issue. We can work on it. We can bring people. There is a talk from Tim Hawking how to use it. We can, we are part of Kubernetes. We can use their experience. And yeah, for release scripts, don't worry, or at least it's not as horrible, because at least we have a test that runs the script, and before it was totally broken every time we change anything. This time, at least it will work. Mm-hmm. Maybe we should consider doing some testing on the release script or the artifacts from the release script, which is still lacking. So we create artifacts, but we don't validate if they're correct artifacts or if they run. So it would be nice to run. We have end-to-end tests. We could improve the release testing to feel really, really much secure. Or much more secure. But if we do that, I would feel fully safe that we have the testing to play around the release scripting. So yeah, we have an action item. Awesome, idea.
Yes. Thank you. And so I think also one thing that we need, so it will need to be backported to 3.5, because that's basically where we didn't catch the vulnerability. So yeah, just a heads up that it affects both the main branch and 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. I don't know, Josh, do you want to jump, or we should give the time to Hakuna, who first proposed their idea? I don't want to.
I'm very brief. Just for anybody who missed it, etcd operator working group is approved, and we'll have our first meeting next week, and all the information's in the link.
Okay, so if you are interested in Operator, please attend the meeting. It should happen soon. Okay, so going to Hakuna, and hope that you've solved your issues and you're ready to discuss.
Hey, thanks, Mark. Hi. I think we discussed quite a length yesterday, like offline, like on Slack. And I see your comment this morning on this. So yeah, I think generally, like this particular issue was created under the assumption that HCD was okay as long as the use case for the as long as there is a use case from the API server. But apparently, it looks like the stance has changed since then. Like from the links that you're pointing out, I didn't like completely go through them, but it looks like you wanna introduce like the pagination and the watch cache using the B-tree implementation, and also do some fast counting on the HCD layer itself. Is my understanding right at this point?
Yeah, I'm not sure who gave impression that etcd is okay with API changes.
I think
I cannot say for full maintainers, but I don't think anyone from etcd attended the meeting that this was discussed. I don't know if there was any.
It wasn't part of the SIG API missionary that HCD is like, not through that meeting. I was only discussing with SIG API missionary, but I was just going by the fact that like in this particular chat, I can there's an HCD issue. I was just going by the chat from this. So one of the maintainers, if I remember correctly, they said like, as long as the feature is going to be used, like if you go to the top from AHRTR, they also said that like if there's a use case for it, basically we can just go ahead and like do it. So that's why I went ahead and pursued with the API missionary to begin with.
Okay,
That issue was created actually like linking this particular issue in the first case. So that was my context. Yeah. And the other thing is like, I wanna like, could you also like explain a bit more on like it's like the first one of the reason that you proposed there, like once you figure this out, is that the proposed changes introduces the complexity to the API. I'm just like curious, like what like the complexity it's gonna add on the API side and the like in terms of maintainability and stuff.
Are you asking why the first reason?
Yeah. Just like wanting to know like in detail, like if it's possible, like just for my understanding purposes.
Like I high level, I would like to address one of the biggest issues with contract between Kubernetes and etcd, which was that every time Kubernetes has any hiccup, like small problem, they tend to solve the issue on their side, which is, oh, let's do minimal work to fix the issue on their side and not think about the area or what is the proper solution. And this led to a lot of uneven API that has huge sinkholes of like the issue itself. Kubernetes G8 remaining item count, like without any testing, any performance validation. How it's possible that you first GA a feature and then you decided, oh, it's too slow. Like it's very short-sighted thinking of let's just do the simplest solution because someone might use it. And for me, adding an API change just for Kubernetes, just for their own problem, which is they require an item count in one case, and the other case they don't need. So sometimes let's use it, sometimes it's not. It's a very Kubernetes issue. And designing an API just to a flag and complicating the client, complicating the proto, thinking about whether we should backport it, maintaining the testability of this is a huge cost that Kubernetes just doesn't care. Because why? It's just a flag on Kubernetes side. It's easy to propose something in Kubernetes and say, we just need a small flag and don't care about testing it and validating. And on etcd side, this will stay for years. Like, this is a version 3 API. We haven't, maybe there are some ideas, or I have some ideas for version 4, but I don't think it will happen, and I hope it will not happen, because that's like history of migrating between version 2 and version 3 is already horrible enough. So I don't think if we see, maybe not simpler, but if we see solutions that would work better holistically, we should think about investing to make sure that we reduce the cost, simplify use cases, improve the user experience, and not push the responsibility to know what 10 flags you need to pass to etcd client to be efficient.
That kind of makes sense. Like, I think we kind of had an agreement like yesterday, yeah, on that part. So I was just like curious on the part that like how that this additional flag would like actually increase the maintenance. But I think for the holistic approach, I think I agree. Like, you wanted to basically use much more like the pagination and the fast counting part, implementing a fast counting at the etcd layer itself.
Either to etcd or to Kubernetes. We can do both. This is what I'm a little bit trying to do, is thinking about like, what are the gaps? Like, has anyone looked into full service holistically? And have they considered what is not the main pain point? What is the high-level design flaw, and how we can address it to up-level the whole like API? Because the biggest problem is that it's one small or for some edge cases. And I know you brought it, I assume, from like maybe EKS. But examples that you, I think, mentioned on where we were discussing was by Marcel from Cilium team. And they are not using same scalability. Like, they're different scalability level, because they can push etcd. They are working on pure etcd and can push it much further. And they have much bigger object numbers than even in Kubernetes does in one resource. So I think, like, when I talked to him, because I'm keeping contact, I mean, I worked with him for 2 years at Google. So he admitted this is not a scalability, like, he's hitting this, but this is the scale that is much bigger, like, than Kubernetes. So I would want to think about it, one of the goals that I proposed was we should scale beyond like Kubernetes, but it doesn't mean we should just add million of flags that optimize something. We should just think about how to make the full API level. And my approach is, like, first, on etcd side, we could do better in the current implementation. And I think a lot of things could be simplified if we used a proper data structure for index in etcd. And I have a POC for that. etcd is not meant to scale to the QPS or thing. It's a fully ordered system, because fully ordered gives you huge benefits, or total order, sorry, not fully ordered. And this benefit is you can do really good caching. And Kubernetes already does it, but it does it very naively. And the watch cache is very, let's say, overcomplicated and not refactored in, like, it's very also same approach of throwing in your last big problem, you rewrite some part and not think about bigger. And like within 1 or 2 days, I was able to rewrite the watch cache to run on every request. And it's like 2 days, and it's not hard. And it was also done like 2 years or 3 years ago, I don't remember the date, based on someone else's POC. And you can scale Kubernetes to absurd levels, in my opinion, because if you get pagination from taking, where is it this? Yes.
Are you
If
talking
you take
about
pagination from seconds to milliseconds, that can make a difference.
No,
So
that totally makes sense to me. Yeah. So, but I think from the point of like actually addressing this like beyond Kubernetes, which means like what, even though like if you make this change or not, I think what it sounds like to me is like actually like making that change on the HCD is what is like the end goal is, so that like it's gonna reflect not only this the Kubernetes community, but also like the Cilium side of the things.
Oh, for Cilium, they need to, I mean, I want to take watch cache from Kubernetes and make it generic. They need watch cache.
Okay.
Because this is the same tendency of Kubernetes. They solved their own, they had problem with Kubernetes. They implemented watch cache and made it very specific to Kubernetes. And you cannot easily reuse it. So Cilium, even though they reach better scalability on pure etcd than on Kubernetes, they don't even have a watch cache. They are running it on pure etcd. And maybe they started doing some caching. But you can imagine if they had something that has watch cache like performance for some requests, the result would be absurd. So one of the like my also presented goals was high level. Let's build scalable infrastructure for etcd or make etcd scalable. And it doesn't mean make etcd faster or complicate it even further. It means need to propose a scalable architecture where you can put a proxy or like caching layer, because every other solution like this has a caching layer, like Consul has a caching, like per local client caching, like local server caching, because it just, I don't know, like you cannot scale consensus more. You cannot scale etcd itself more. You can try to shard it, but it's a much bigger discussion and there are some ideas, but that would be investing into wrong place first, because it would complicate etcd a lot. But if you put caching layers that fully utilize properties of totally ordered history of changes, and you could scale Kubernetes 10x, like in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that'll be pretty cool actually. Is this going to be like a separate repository that it's gonna get created, like the watch cache, like making it generic so that like not just like the
I don't know. It's the idea of I need someone that is interested in working in it. Like we could do anything that we would want. I would be supportive. I discussed it even doing it in tree with Benjamin. We discussed it outside of tree, but it's idea of we want to make Kubernetes scalability a property of not Kubernetes, but property of etcd. Because Kubernetes reaches its scalability thanks to watch cache, and etcd plus watch cache, and etcd doesn't itself, and etcd needs watch cache. And it's a problematic effort, because it's a effort that's one of the success goals would be to make it back to Kubernetes, because if we don't have the biggest client of Kubernetes of etcd will not adopt it, it will be hard to push it to other. But if you can sell to Cilium, hey, here's generic watch cache, Kubernetes uses it, so it at least survives, and it's developed by, by shared community, and that's why we are also aligning more with Kubernetes and taking over responsibility for storage layer, then Cilium will immediately catch it up.
makes sense.
Like,
that totally makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark. Actually.
Okay. Sorry for talking for so long. Hopefully, want to leave. I don't know. Hope your topic is not too long, but let me know. Jing Li, you.
Yeah, my topic won't be too long. So we have an open PR. It's from the customer report. They are start seeing some suspicious gRPC errors, specific to say use of the closed network connection, and they happen for but basically we did some experiment and we narrowed down to a suspicious PR. So it's on top of the overview. So after we updated that, so basically that PR is trying to start ACD client and do something and then shut down like immediately. So we update the logic to say like reuse the ACD client. And after that change, the gRPC error is gone. But the thing is, we still want to look for more evidence to build the causality like between the gRPC error and that original PR. So yeah, and we saw like Merrick seems you're contribute to the original PR. So we're kind of like looking for your opinion or advice on that. Yeah, I also linked the original PR we suspect there.
I mean, high level, it's an API machinery thing. So like you can, I mean, I've been on holidays and we are before code 3, so I'm also sorry for not being available, but I'm also having a lot of problems with getting people review. I mean, that said, I high level think your change makes sense to reuse client. I'm just don't have time to make sure that your life cycle of the gRPC client that you implemented is correct, because you cannot make the global life cycle infinite or have the client never be closed. So you need to figure out, you just remove the closing of client.
Yeah,
and
right.
You need to close the client at some point. So I didn't want to go into wormhole. But yeah, if you need, please like push those this PR on SIG API machinery. You should, and instrumentation, you should get more visibility there. Like it's less part of etcd.
We realized the ACD client, like the close issue you mentioned, from the testing. So some testing result already telling us like we didn't close them correctly. But the things we are still not so sure if the observed gRPC error message is really related to the, ACD client, the start and the shutdown, that behavior. So it's kind of like from the experiment seems disappear after we update the logic.
I mean,
so
the test it would be really weird that it does. I cannot tell much or speak much on the lower layer and how the gRPC reuses connections, but
okay.
Yeah.
So is there any other open source like maintainer we can consult with, like the gRPC?
I don't know. Hard for me to say. I don't know if Benjamin more knows. Like if I need knowledge from gRPC, I just ask people from gRPC. I mean, sometimes it's because I know them, because we had an issue already previously on gRPC and recently on gRPC. So it's an open source. You can CC, you can find them and CC them if you know people that.
Cool.
They are happy to help Kubernetes project as one of the biggest projects that uses gRPC or Golang. They're pretty helpful. Okay, we are sorry, we are out of time. I don't want to prolong it too much. Please feel free to like follow up and ping me. I just like, sorry for missing. I just get tens of notification every day. So if I didn't respond on one CC, please continue to CC or ping me on Slack if you need more. Like I was on holidays, I think, like around this time.
Yeah, I heard that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that would be all for today. Thanks everyone who attended, and hope to see you next week, maybe on the etcd triage or not triage, or etcd triage meeting or the robustness test meeting, and have a great local time. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you.